James, Phillip, thanks for coming, guys. Exciting times. And you're working in a great industry, educating crypto investors, maybe rather. Tell me a little bit about yourselves, your background, and the project. James, we'll start with you.
Okay, yeah. So I've been in blockchain and crypto for about 3 years now. I come from a professional sports background. I'm a PGA golf professional. And I was doing a lot of coaching, playing a bit around Europe. But I realized, especially on the coaching side, which at the time was my main focus, that I was simply trading time for money. I'd been interested in finance and markets for a few years prior. And I realized that I needed to make money work for me. Mm-hmm. You know, I thought, where do you want to be in 5 years' time, 10 years' time? I'd done a little bit of work in wealth management with a partner of a big wealth management firm in the UK before I moved to Switzerland. So that was a bit of an intro for me. But, you know, I was interested in investing and starting to take it seriously. So I was allocating my own capital, my own money into various things, you know, started a little bit safe in things like stocks. And then I wanted to go a bit more into venture stuff, more early stage, you know, a bit more high risk, yep, but more high growth. Mm-hmm. And I stumbled across Bitcoin and blockchain, and, you know, that was a Pandora's box that just opened, you know. And
what year are we talking here? This is a couple of years back?
About 3 years ago now.
3 years ago.
Yeah, so bought my first Bitcoin, I think it was about $800.
Okay.
And yeah, I went from there. Bitcoin was the one that I went with first because I saw that it had the most, it seemed the safest. Mm-hmm. You know, you're not going to go straight in and go some tiny altcoin that you've never heard of. I did do a lot of reading. Long story short, I invested in Bitcoin, mm-hmm, and then I started to allocate into some of the smaller, lower market cap ones. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, you find out that this stuff's very volatile. It's not like stocks where it's like, you know, 5 or 10% in a year or in a month. You know, this stuff's crazy. It's volatile. Yep. So I realized that you need to learn to trade. Or for me personally, let's put it this way, I was interested in trading, mm-hmm, because it's very volatile. And, you know, if you can buy and sell at the right time and play the cycles, if any of you have looked at charts, you know, you can see these parabolic moves and then these, yep, crash cycles. And I thought, you know, if you play these, yeah, it's going to be more profitable.
There's got to be a system here. You can learn it. Why not, right?
Yeah. And so I did a trading course, and I guess that was the inspiration for what we do now.
Now, was this crypto specific, or this was sort of more general?
It was
trading?
Crypto specific. Mm-hmm. Yeah. By this point, I was already well into the crypto kind of ecosystem, and I knew what I was doing. But I wanted to learn more about trading, technical analysis, risk, liquidity, exchanges, order books, all of this stuff, you know, yep, because it's a minefield. Mm-hmm. And so I realized that I wanted to take this more seriously and, you know, better myself. So I did this course, and what I learned is all markets are the same. The only thing that changes is the time frame. Mm-hmm. And that includes crypto. Mm-hmm. Then I started trading pretty well, profitably, did pretty good. And then I got people asking me, mm-hmm, you know, can you help me? And then I saw people making really, really stupid mistakes, and I wanted to help them. Naturally, you know, I wanted to say, well, don't do that, it's stupid. Yeah, sure. And so I thought, and community, crypto, as you know, is a very community-centric kind of space at the moment. It's immature and it's very community. So I thought I'll set up a group, you know, a Facebook group. And start to build a community around this where we can learn together and help each other, and I can help people out, can put stuff out there, and whoever wants to look at it and learn can do.
But the idea to spur this whole thing was really you wanting to give back to your friends or the community that you've built out.
Yeah, it started with friends, and then I thought I can build a community, you know, this can be powerful, mm-hmm, because I felt like I was ahead of the masses, mm-hmm, and that I had value to share. I built my own trading course. Mm-hmm. I felt like I could deliver better what had been delivered to me, mm-hmm, and also improve and add things and change things. So I did it. Now, it took me ages, mm-hmm, to compile all this content. There's 12 sessions, and they range to be, for us to deliver them, they range from an hour to 2 hours. So it's quite intensive. It can take, with practice and homework, it can be 30 to 40 hours. So it's pretty intensive. I now do a lot in the crypto space. I do trade. I also do advisory consultancy. So Phillip, I got to know during another project, let's say, that we worked on together, and me and Phillip clicked instantly.
What was it? Where did the chemistry come from?
I felt like Phillip gets markets, and a lot of the stuff we talked about with regards to trading and crypto, I was like, oh my God, this guy gets it. So many people, you just think, they're kind of on their way, but Phillip just got it. And it turns out that Phillip came from a very experienced trading background. Phillip's traded.
Yep, I had traded beforehand, a little bit in Forex, but the interesting thing for me was I actually only got into trading itself because of cryptocurrency. So I went a move from the volatile cryptocurrency Bitcoin space back into the traditional Forex, and then afterwards I went back into crypto.
Gotcha.
And as James was saying beforehand, it just instantly clicked. We see eye to eye on many things. We were also very enthusiastic about the space at the time, and still are. And I had already been mentoring some people at the time when we had met, and it was something that I had really enjoyed and still enjoy. When James asked me to come on board and asked me to be part of the team to also deliver the content and add whatever I know as well to the material that he had already provided, I said, yes, let's do it. Absolutely.
Perfect. So let's think about time frame again. James, you said first Bitcoin purchase 2016, thereabouts. Then you start getting requests to learn more about the trading. You do a course yourself.
Yep.
You put together some of this material. When do you and Phillip meet, and when does this sort of, what we can see now from the Crypto Xpert, that's what we call CX, right?
So, yes.
How does that look like?
Expert.
What's the time frame there?
So you and I met a couple of years ago, I guess?
It seems much longer.
Yeah, it does.
Right.
It's been a little over a year, actually, because this was after the run, 2017, when we had met. So that was 2018. More or less.
So you met during the crypto winter.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you realized, hey, even if the markets are down, what is always going to be attractive or interesting is the educational side of things.
Yeah, sure. I'd already delivered this course live to well over 100 people.
Okay.
I've been doing this live, with big groups. In the height of the kind of bull season, I guess you can call it, I had over 50 people in one course.
Okay.
And great feedback. And then it dropped off with the market, because people, although they learned to trade, the discipline wasn't quite there yet. It dropped off, as sentiment does in markets. Once Phillip and I moved away from this project we've been working with, that's when I thought, because I hadn't really been doing much with CX, and I thought, this is such a waste, there is so much value there, and I felt bad that it was sitting there and that I wasn't constantly growing the group and delivering the courses, but it was always there. I knew I was going to come back to it, and then when I met Phillip, I thought this is perfect to pick it back up.
Why don't you break down a little bit the course themselves? You said there's something like 12 lessons. What's the customer journey look like? They're on cryptoexpert.cx. What do they see? What happens next?
Sure. So what I found is that people would like to do this course in their own time. It was very regimented, and it was basically the people fitted around me, which they did. But I thought maybe we should let people do it in their own time. So we did another course live, and we recorded every session, and we did Q&A at the end, and we still set the homework. So, we thought we could automate this. So if you went on now, you could purchase the course and you could do it in your own time. And we recommend that it should take you about a month. It goes all the way from an introduction to crypto and Bitcoin and exchanges and wallets. That's kind of lesson 1. Then we go into the technical analysis side of things. So maybe you can talk about the technical stuff, technical analysis.
Sure. I mean, from the technical analysis standpoint, we go into various sectors, and we kind of try to break each one down. As James mentioned before, he had also, the main set out before I had arrived, and then my personal knowledge I just added onto each module as well. So we go from everything to the simple things such as indicators, price action, trend lines, to the more complex things such as Elliott wave theory. And then we move on much further into the more difficult aspects, I believe, when it comes to trading, such as the psychology behind it, the risk management, because you can be the best technical trader in the world, you can be the best at reading charts, but if you can't handle the psychology, if you can't handle the emotions behind it, and you can't manage the risk, then you have no chance. You will just lose money in the market.
Okay, well, let's talk about that a little bit then. What are some of the sort of key takeaways from the psychological side of things that you would apply to the crypto markets, you think?
Specifically crypto markets?
Yeah, let's go specific.
Sure. I'd start by saying understanding market cycles is the biggest part of it all, I think. If you, as James said before, there is a time frame to everything. These market cycles, Bitcoin is the best example of the massive hype cycle, like in 2017, and the crypto winter, which was until December 15th, 2018, specific bottom.
Okay, sure.
I just happened to know that because there was one point on Twitter where everyone was just saying this is the bottom, and once enough people were convinced, a lot of people pointed out, you look back at the chart, you see it. But, moving on, as I was saying, market cycles is definitely the most important factor. Mainly, I'd say because if you understand the basic market cycle, you can apply it to all time frames. So Bitcoin being, as I said, the biggest one, with the hype cycle 2017, bear market till 2018. But that same process and the same psychology behind it, all the emotions, you can see the same kind of pattern, be it on the daily time frames, the hourly time frames, go zoom out, the yearly time frames. If you look at, for example, gold, and that was like 10-year bull market, and it's been correcting since, I believe, 2011, more or less. And it's only recently started breaking those highs, and gold bugs are rejoicing now, but just as an example of a much bigger cycle in terms of the time frame.
So we talked specifically about the crypto markets, but James, you said earlier, crypto's just another market. All markets are the same.
All markets are the same. That's something that I got my head around. It took someone really beating that into me, someone that I respect a lot. I guess one of my mentors in some respects. Like what Phillip touched on there, it's the fractal. You can put one chart next to another, and one can be, this amount of time can be 3 months, and this amount of time can be 1 hour. You see the same patterns in the charts, the same psychology. Because traders trade on different time frames. So some guys, they'll enter a trade and they'll go away for a week or two, and then they'll come back, and they're more passive. But they still understand that they still define their risk. On the other side, you've got guys that sit there at the screen all day, and they'll be in and out, in and out, in and out. And it's both of them are fear and greed. They're both fueled, all markets are fueled by the same two emotions. And what I learned is these charts that we see are literally humans and human psychology mapped onto a chart for us to see. So you get the emotional, you can see the emotions in the charts. So there's a great, it's called the Wall Street cheat sheet. You see the emotions, and you've got euphoria here, and then you've got complacency and the crash cycle, and then you've got depression at the bottom, or capitulation. So people buy in euphoria and they sell at capitulation. And then you've got hope again. And then disbelief. And I think we're in disbelief on Bitcoin right now.
Fair enough.
We've seen it pop from $3,000, and it's at 10, and then people are saying, oh no, it's going to come back down to 4. And I'm like, guys, you're kidding. There's a clear uptrend here, and you're going to call the top and wait for it to go back to 4? And that's that disbelief.
Right.
And Bitcoin is a longer time frame, but you see this on altcoins, this same cycle happens in 1 day. So it's very interesting when you really get into the emotions and the psychology.
For sure. So much emotion, so much psychology. Phillip, I guess I'll ask you then, if the market's so irrational, why is it important to teach or to learn the fundamentals? What do you think there?
When you say fundamentals, are you speaking specifically about cryptocurrency fundamentals, or
fundamentals of market analysis, let's say, or looking at some of the real chart analysis? Why is this? If it's all emotional, so much is based on irrational actions by irrational actors. What's the quality there that you can get from reading the charts?
So I guess I'd have to phrase it a little bit differently.
Sure.
For a successful trader to be successful, I think there are mainly 3 things they have to overcome or learn. The first one being, as I said, the basics, technical analysis. Learn to read a chart, simply put, and the various forms of technical analysis that come with it. The second is risk management, because if you can't manage your money, then you're just going to be out. And we focus a lot on this on the course, the risk management aspect and risk-reward ratio. But at the same, this is a very important factor, but at the same time, if you are just risking capital, let's say you risk 1% of your capital and you want to target a 3% profit, got a risk-reward ratio of 3, okay, that's great. But if you don't have the technical knowledge, the technical analysis knowledge, then you're just risking for the sake of risking, and there's no technical fundamentals behind it. So they both play hand in hand. And then afterwards, the other part is psychology. And I guess this is where the time frames really come into play. So for example, scalpers, I noticed this a lot in the Forex market as well. A lot of people will simply do scalping, which means that you go in and out of a trade within a few minutes. And same thing on crypto, you go in and out within a few minutes, get a few basis points, get a few percentage, and depending on the volatility, of course. And a lot of people will simply scalp because they can't handle being in a trade for longer than those few minutes. They get too nervous, they can't go about their day, and that's all they're thinking about. And that's where the emotional control really comes into play.
Right. So there's like a two-tiered psychological analysis then, the personal and then also the group psychology as well. You can look at trends in both capacities.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Interesting.
And also in regards to the risk, if you're taking a trade and you're feeling nervous about that trade, even if the technical aspect is great, you're probably just risking too much on that one trade, which is why you're nervous about it. It can still be a great trade. The technical factors may be great. But if you're nervous about it, then you probably want to reduce your risk. And I think that's something also that a lot of beginners at the beginning have trouble with. It's just simply figuring out how much do I want to risk on each trade. And in the worst case, that might not even be a question that occurs to them. They just go in with whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is unfortunately how a lot of people lose money in the markets. And that is ultimately why James and I do these courses and just try to spread as much knowledge as possible so people don't make these kinds of mistakes, which can be easily avoided.
Yeah, of course. Okay, well, James, you said that you've taught this course prior to at least 100 people.
Yeah.
What sort of numbers are you guys seeing now? I know your social media numbers are quite good, but in the course itself, let's look at sort of customers there.
It's picking back up. I would say it's still a little slow because we've gone through that bottoming phase recently. We've just started to automate things. Sales-wise, we're still not where we were at the hype of the bull market. But I think now's the best time to learn to trade. You don't want to learn to trade here in the bull market. It's too easy. Everyone thinks they're a genius.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, I mean, the biggest cliche, but the biggest, the most undervalued cliche in trading is trend is your friend. The trend is your friend. It's as simple as that. And, when everything's going up and up and up, you can't really miss.
Right.
You could buy an altcoin in 2017 and you couldn't lose. Everything went nuts.
Yeah, for sure.
And then everyone thinks they're a genius and that they can trade, and that's quite dangerous. There's a lot of people entering altcoins because they look cheap, but at the end of the day, guys, trend is your friend. It's in a downtrend. Altcoins have been relatively cheap for months now, 6 months, maybe even 12 months. And just because if you're buying just because it looks cheap, and some are down 90%, 90%, and you're like absolutely destroyed. So it's a great time to learn to trade now. So you know when to start, when to be in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's looking really strong right now, but people are in disbelief. And then they're going to need to know when to switch into altcoins, which isn't yet, because they're all still in the downtrend to Bitcoin. And the other element, the reason I love crypto is it's kind of like 3D. It's 3D markets. It's like fractions. So let's think about stocks. You've got Apple against the dollar.
Sure.
Okay. Crypto, you've got Bitcoin against the dollar. And then there's like another dimension. You've got alts to Bitcoin. So when people are trading alts for Bitcoin, does that make sense if Bitcoin is going down to the dollar? That doesn't make sense.
Right.
You might be accumulating Bitcoin, but you're losing dollars. It's like 3D market.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like a 3D market.
For sure.
When Bitcoin's going up, if you're trading alts to the dollar, what are you doing?
Right.
Because you're losing Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So it's fractions. So we teach all of this in the course.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to learn, but if you really are serious about learning markets and risk and basically making your money work for you, with, you know, in the hope that potentially one day you could make this a full-time income, then it's a great place to start.
Absolutely. And this sort of three-tiered, this 3D trading system that you're talking about, do you get a lot of guys coming from the traditional world that this is something new for them, this is something to wrap their heads around?
The traditional trading world, I guess, Philip, you're more experienced on that. You actually traded stocks and Forex.
Forex mainly.
Forex.
I guess it depends the exact demographic, essentially. I'd say in general, retail is now starting to slowly pick up in regards to the crypto trading. I'd say because the barriers to entry are much easier and lower for a lot of people to get into crypto than, you know, going to a broker, opening up an account, depositing the money, and then finally being able to trade. I think a lot of people, they like that aspect of crypto, and that's why it's much easier for them to get into that. And because they're in that, then, you know, they look first specifically at crypto trading and not other kinds of trading.
Right.
But, you know, as James and I already mentioned, you can apply technical analysis to every and any market. The psychology is always the same. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you're trading. You just need to have a concrete plan of what you want to do and how you're going to achieve it.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, yeah, the product sounds very interesting. I'm interested to know, I mean, we talked earlier, you said the whole crypto space is so community-based, right? So someone comes on, does your course, but that's, I guess, maybe for you guys, that's really where the journey starts. I mean, after that, then they're part of the community, you're going back and forth. Talk to me a little bit about that sort of interaction there.
Great question. That brings us on to the next part of CX, which is CXA, Crypto Xpert Advanced.
Okay.
All the guys that have completed the course, so it's for graduates only, go into this group of basically elite traders that know what they're doing, bounce ideas off each other, share technical analysis, share trades. And I thought that could be really powerful, you know, and I think that the more people go onto that and have that community, I think the more likely they are to stick with it.
Right.
And if we can build that community, that CXA space, I think it's a great environment for people to continually develop.
For sure, that engagement, and then come across, you know, psychology strikes again, right? We need this as well.
And we do regular mentoring sessions. So everyone that goes into CXA, Philip and I will keep on mentoring them. So, you know, we'll do weekly Zoom calls and people can throw out their TA and we can critique it and see, you know, throw curveballs at them like, well, great, but what's your risk reward ratio on this trade? Or why are you entering on a downtrend? Or why are you entering at resistance? So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, we bounce ideas off each other for the most part.
So it elevates to almost like a peer-to-peer sort of discussion session at that point.
Yeah,
definitely.
Great.
Cool. Now, Philip, I got to ask you, man. You've got this community of people are signing on. They're paying you a fee for the course. How much is the course to do, the first step?
$500.
$500, okay, fair enough. What puts a smile on your face? What are you happy to see people are going through the course?
What I appreciate the most is when the student really just kind of takes off, you know. They're in the group or in CXA, regardless of which one. They're posting their analysis, you know, sharing calls. They're successful. They're sharing their success stories. And then they can essentially stand on their own 2 feet. That, for me, is the most gratifying part, when you just know that you gave this knowledge to someone, and with this knowledge, they've been able to, whatever it is for them, generate an extra income, maybe even become a full-time trader.
Right.
That puts the biggest smile on my face.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's
James,
the same for me. It really is, and it's, you know, it's kind of like nurturing an animal and then letting it out to the wild.
Sure.
I've said to Philip, we are going to produce, you know, a $1 billion hedge fund manager. It's a numbers game.
Yeah.
A lot of people, we're not saying that everyone that comes through the course will go on and be a pro trader. Maybe it's not for them. Maybe it's not for them. Maybe, you know, maybe they don't have the discipline. Maybe they don't commit themselves. But I'm sure that we will produce, some serious traders. And it's like when I was golf coaching, I always said I'm going to produce a serious player here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what excites me. I want someone to come back to us and say, hey guys, I started trading with you and now I'm managing $1 billion hedge fund. That would just be, that'd be incredible.
Absolutely.
To know that we had that impact on their lives.
Definitely. And I guess then the big question would be, what sets CX apart? I mean, there are other competitors, of course, offering this sort of information. Why do I jump on the CX train?
I would say both of us actually trade. That's a key. The continual mentorship and the fact that we both care. Like, I will get guys message me at 11 p.m. on a Sunday evening, and if I'm still up, I'll be replying. If they're committed and they've shown commitment towards the course and maybe CXA, then we're pretty much there for them all the time.
Right. So it's really the community and the after course reality.
The fact that we care. I guess you guys watching are lucky that we're so early. If this really takes off, especially with the automation and doing it in your own time, we're going to have thousands of people going through this course eventually. But right now, the mentorship is it's very intimate. It's we care and we really help people as much as we can. Yeah. And then you've got the community group. That's another key differentiator, which I've not seen anywhere.
Well, let's look. We looked a little bit about the future. Let's look into the future projections for where you hope to be. Let's look 3 months ahead, 6 months ahead, maybe a year from now. What's on the horizon? Do you have some automation is coming down the line, but some other projections, some other goals for the next little while?
I realized that we needed to focus more on the mentorship. And if we're constantly focused on beginners and that face-to-face interaction, and then we get more and more and more, that we're not going to have as much time to mentor the graduates. We kind of filter out the people that are serious, and then we can focus more on those. Marking their homework is something we'll still do. They still get that interaction. Right. They get homework at the end of every session, and we'll still mark that, like a real person, Phillip and I marking the homework.
That's you two coming together.
That's always us, because we're the traders on the team. This is what we do, and otherwise there's no interaction. And wouldn't be the same.
And eventually maybe we'll have to get more professional traders in to critique this work and help us deliver. But at the moment, we want a continual flow.
Maybe you're building them right now,
Exactly.
They go through the course, they're on the CXA, and then they come back full circle.
When they go into CXA, the goal for that in 3 to 6 months is, to have a continually growing group. Maybe in 6 months we have 50 or 100 people in there, but really committed individuals who have gone through the course, nailed all the homework, trading every day. That would be fantastic to have that group of really strong traders bouncing ideas around.
Absolutely.
Anything to add to that, Phillip? For goals, 6 months? I mean, this is something we talk about a bit, but it'd be great to hear where you see CX in 3 to 6 months.
I guess unfortunate or fortunate, however you want to look at it, is that once again, the market cycle in Bitcoin plays a heavy role in this as well. We are still, for many people, unfortunately, at a point where they are in disbelief, even though Bitcoin to the US dollar is up over 200% year to date. And I'd say once it picks up again, breaks the all-time high, I think that's when media will really start, putting a spotlight on it again.
So then I got to stop you there. All-time high, you're seeing a new one on the horizon, I guess.
Yes.
What sort of time frame are you looking at?
I won't give a specific time frame as to when it will be broken, but I do see it being broken.
Okay.
I would be tempted to say we'll see all-time high broken this year.
Okay.
I think that's certainly feasible.
Yeah.
And trend is your friend, guys. If you're watching this and you're not sure whether to enter Bitcoin, I'm not going to tell you to buy Bitcoin, but it's going up. If you look at the charts, it's like that. So it's like that, and it's just, you get bounces and it hits the trend and it goes up, and you can stay in disbelief. But when it smashes through all-time high, and when it really vertical again, do you want to be buying in the top?
Exactly.
And this is once again where emotions really come into play, because giving the most recent fractal, Bitcoin pumped to about 14K or nearly 14K. And then dropped 25%, 30% within a day or two. And And that's when a lot of people get shaken out.
Yeah, for sure.
They buy that small, same thing as 2017, just smaller. They buy that small parabola to the upside. They see it drop, they panic sell. And the people that look at it in the long term, they see that drop of 30% and they say, buying opportunity.
Yeah, totally. So it's, one of the first things I guess you guys deal with is switching people from a real short term to a longer term, sort of zoom out capacity into the market.
What we teach them to do is trade on their own time frame, which is key. Like I say, some guys like to sit at a screen all day and trade in and out, in and out, in and out. Some guys like myself, I like to go longer term. So I'll look at the daily chart a lot. I travel a lot. I do other stuff like consultancy and advisory. So I like to be longer term. And we teach people to create their own plan based around their lifestyle. If they want to travel and do sports and spend a lot of time with family, then they can do that. If they want to focus on this and do shorter time frame and more in and out because they love it, then we teach them to do that as well.
So for CX, it's all about making it work. It's an individual product, making it work for you. Okay.
We teach people to trade around their lifestyle. So there's a lot of common misconceptions about trading. Like if I asked, it'd be interesting to ask, my parents, what's trading?
Right.
You could ask 1,000 people and you get a different answer from everyone. What is trading?
Yeah.
And also, where is the line between trading and investing? Because investing in something is a trade. You are simply trading dollars or Bitcoin for something else. That's a trade. What's your exit strategy? What's your risk-reward ratio? What's your plan here? And it's not something that people think about a lot, but it's all of this is vital.
Absolutely. Now, you just brought up your parents there, so that makes me want to ask. Let's talk demographics, I guess, of the customers and the community members that you do have. What sort of demographic, what's a slice of the demographic we're looking at?
Well, we've had guys from, what's the youngest you can think of?
The youngest, probably mid-20s, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say
around that. That's the kind of age where people might think, right, okay, let's do something else or start thinking about the financial future. Yeah. I guess the oldest gentleman that we've had, he was a grandfather actually. I'm going to guess his age, maybe 65, maybe 70. So it really does vary.
Yeah, and right on that point there, I think a lot of people underestimate, the age as well. I think sometimes people have this idea that, if you're older, you're not going to start learning this.
Right.
Right. And I'd say, even sometimes older people, older folks, gentlemen, women, they want to just do something else, especially if they're retired.
It can work to their advantage as well because they're wiser.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah.
They are more patient. People our age, we're crazy, millennials. We're like, we want everything now. They're not we're not patient.
Yeah.
Older people are patient.
Right.
So patience and discipline is very important in trading.
So we talked generation. Now, what about gender? Any women taking the course? Anything like that?
Yeah. Quite a few. And I've heard that women make better traders.
Right.
I would say women have not so much attitude towards risk. They don't like risk as much.
Right.
If you look at crypto as a market, the majority of people in the crypto are men.
Yeah.
And that's why we have great initiatives like Women in Blockchain and stuff like this, which I think is good. But why do we have more men? Well, I think we like to take risks more.
Interesting. Cool. Well, hey, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd love you to answer this or finish this sentence for me. After taking the CX course, I can
trade.
Simple as that. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I like that.
Great.
You can.
Yeah.
We're not going to promise that you can be consistently profitable the moment you finish the course. But I am confident, and I've said this since day one, I'm confident that the content in that course is literally everything you need to become a professional trader. That doesn't mean that you don't need to practice it, work on your discipline, you need experience in the markets, but everything in there is what you need to become a professional trader. Because we really do cover it all. The biggest thing is risk, and that risk-reward ratio that you talked about is so important. You can be the best technical analyst in the world. If you don't understand risk or managing risk or position sizing, you're dead meat. But we do cover it all. Great.
Perfect. Okay, well, guys, where's the best place to find you?
Best place to find us. So we've got Facebook group. If you go on Facebook and search for crypto, space expert without the E, so it's just expert. Discussion group. Twitter, we are at Crypto Xpert, all one word, CX. Crypto Xpert CX without the E for expert. You can go on the website cryptoxpert.cx. We've got Instagram as well. I think that's at cryptoxpert.cx. We post calls and things and memes and
A lot of memes.
A lot of memes. Yeah,
just
perfect.
funny stuff sometimes. Can you think of anything else?
The page on Facebook.
Yeah, there's a Facebook page, just Crypto Xpert.
Okay.
And on it, of course, you'll find a link to the discussion group.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. They can find you. Wish you guys the best. It seems like a really great product. I think, education in the space is so key, and it seems like you guys are really,
Definitely.
I especially like the sort of the post-course community. I think that's a really key aspect, and the individual treatment as well. Fantastic. So
Cool.
thanks so much for coming in, guys.
Thanks
really
for having
appreciate
us,
it.
Owen. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you, Owen.
Until next time.